Good. Hey guys, Mark Farash with Protect Dog Training. We got Turk out here again today. Today's going to be kind of a special. I was going to show you guys some of my healing pattern, how I'm pulling that together. But I had a person that posted a query on the list. What do they do with their young 10-week-old Dutch Shepherd when he starts growling at them and coming back? And this gets to be controversial because we have some definitely set-in camps of behavior, belief and attitude in the dog training world nowadays. We have one group we call the all positive. They only believe in giving nothing but food, no correction, and using what they call the science of dog training. Believe me, the science of dog training has been around for a lot of years, a lot more than they ever thought of. Good. And the old days, we did use a lot more correction-based type of training. Good. It's called avoidance, or one of the main things it's called is avoidance and escape training. Good. It's brought together by a gentleman by the name of William Keeler. He was a Hollywood trainer that did Lassie, and he did a lot of different dogs. He's very famous, and he wrote a book back in the 70s. Good. That basically shot off, and everybody started using his methods because they worked. Good. And then we got to a point where we had Michael Ellis show up, and Michael Ellis started advocating a lot more of the food type of motivational and toys and motivational type of training techniques. And pretty much a good portion of the dog world nowadays uses some form or fashion of Michael Ellis's type of work. I do. My baseboard nowadays I call a balanced dog trainer is what they consider me. I do use corrections. I've been around dogs since I was 12 years old. My whole life has been saturated with dogs in one way, shape, or form. My first job, and when I did my first thing, it was around 12 years old, started working my dogs, and I was working people's dogs all over the place doing training, and I was advocating out of William Keeler's book. I used a lot of yank and crank, as we call it. And then I went off at 18 years of age, straight out of high school. Within a week after graduation, I took off on a bus, a Greyhound bus, and went to Oakland, California to live in the back of a kennel after working at a training firm in San Luis, where I was born and raised, for 2 years. And then at 18, I took off, got on the bus, and took off to Oakland, California to work for a training firm there by the name of ProTrain. And ProTrain was one of the largest facilities in the Bay Area at the time, back in the 80s. They ended up growing to a point where having 5 or 6 different pet stores. They had a large training facility right off of the freeway there by the Coliseum. You could see it very well. The freeway traffic and everything could see it. Good. And they grew their business to a point of being very large. I was with them before they moved over by the Coliseum, and it was on San Pablo Avenue, which is the nasty side of town there in Oakland. And usually kennels a lot of times will end up in these depreciated areas because nobody complains about the dog barking and you can get away with it. Cesar Millan is a good friend of mine for way back 20, 30 years ago, before he became what I call Mr. Hollywood nowadays. I was with him for about 3 or 4 years, hung with him real tight. I've been in major saturations of dogs, and I'm always kind of finding myself in that environment for years now. I've eat, breathe, and sleep dogs. It's all I do every day of the week. Good. So it becomes a big behavior pattern with me, understanding pack psychology and packs. So on that special that we're going to do today, we're going to talk about corrections, okay? And it's a hot button topic because we have these different groups. Like I said, there's some people that don't believe in corrections at all. Others that we call ourselves fair and balanced trainers. I am a balanced dog trainer. And it means that I do have corrections that I use, and I will use corrections when it's applicable. And in this case, when you have puppies, very young puppies, it's something that I will use, okay? Because you have to teach the dog to have boundaries and understand that they can do certain things and they can't. And you want to make sure that they understand that you're the pack leader. It doesn't mean you want to be abusive with it. There's some golden rules in correcting animals. And the biggest rule is that you're done and over with your correction, and you don't have emotion behind it. Meaning I'm not going to sit there and, you're a bad dog, phooey, and sit there and write a book, okay? My correction is done and over with. When I see a behavior that I don't want, it's done and over with. A second ago, I was doing some filming and we lost our mics, so I ended up having a whole 15, 17 minutes of video that I wasn't able to use because I had no mic. I wasn't mic'd up. So hopefully now you're hearing me. And one of the things that he was doing a second ago, Turk, is doing so well at being behaved right now because he's already burned off a lot of his energy, good, was he was picking up rocks. And puppies do that all the time. They'll pick up a rock and they'll swallow those rocks and they end up getting stuck in the intestines, and you could have to have a major surgery for it. So it's something I don't want my dog to do. So what I'll do with something like that is I'll adhere to those rules that I'm trying to give you now. The dog goes over and grabs a rock, puts it in his hand. I don't want him to do that, so I have to create some kind of negative. I will go over and I will grab the dog's mouth at the back and the top of the mouth, and I will pinch these little lips into the teeth. That hurts. I will dive in and I will grab the object out of his mouth, and I will have an attitude of correction, and I will say, no, phooey. And the rock is in my hand. They can smell that. And I will take the object and I kind of pop him on the top of the nose with it, and I'll phooey and I'll throw the object one way, and I'll redirect the dog's behavior to what I do want it to chew on, which is usually a toy or something else that I want the dog going after. So I redirect those behaviors into something I do want. This chewing behavior is very common with the puppies in the house, okay? So in the house, what I will do is I will tell my customers that I want them to get those little chew hooves, those $1.99 little hooves that you get at the pet stores, or any other type of an object that you can buy that's inexpensive that you can put all over the house. And I will put them in the areas that I hang out in. So if I'm watching TV, it's on my TV stand. I will put them on counters when I'm going to be in the kitchen. I'm doing things in the kitchen. Anywhere that I'm going to be hanging out, because if I catch a negative behavior that I don't want the dog to do, as chewing mainly, what happened, Turk? You got so relaxed, you just fell right out for that, didn't you, silly boy? So then what I will do is I will grab the dog's chew toy that I do want it to chew on, and I will redirect that behavior. So a lot of times there may be some kind of a negative, but when I do this, it's done and it's over with. It's very abrupt and it's done and it's over with, and I don't sit there and chastise or talk to the dog. It's about, you're doing this, it's black and white. You're doing this, this is what happens, it's done and it's over with, and I redirect the behavior to what I want to go after, okay? So right now you notice him, he's on the ground right here searching for things. He may pick up a rock, and if he does, I will administer that correction. It's done and it's over with, and then I redirect to what I want the dog to chew on. Okay, so when they were mentioning their little 10-week-old Dutch Shepherd on the board, they were talking about the dog digging and doing something, and they were trying to grab the dog and pull him away from it. The dog was in a heightened state of excited state. And then that state of mind will come back, and they'll come back on you. And it's very natural for puppies to do this because they're testing their boundaries. They're testing their limitations, what they can get away with and what they can't. But again, the biggest thing you need to do is done and over with, and then redirect, okay? So one of those things I was talking about in my little thread to them was cuffing, okay? When a mother has puppies that she doesn't want them to feed anymore and their little teeth are getting sharp and they're trying to nurse, she will end up going and growling, and she'll nip the dog really quick, and you'll hear it, yark, 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 and it's done, it's over with. There's a loud guttural little sound coming from the bitch, and she will cuff that dog. It's done, it's over with, and then she goes about her business, and the puppy's usually, and it learns real quick not to do that, okay? And these type of corrections we do in a lot of little instances, and they're basically very hot and cold. If I touch this, it burns, it hurts. We learn from our consequences in the world. It's just a fact of life. All animals on God's green earth learn from consequences, either positive or negative, okay? So when you do things, you want to make sure that your correction is done and over with, and to a level that the dog respects. If you did a cuffing and you tried to correct the dog and it came back on you even more, then obviously that wasn't hard enough, okay? You need to bring it up to a level the dog respects, done and over with, and then redirect the behavior towards what you do want it to go after. Okay, so it's very important. And cuffing, what I do when I cuff a dog, I will actually grab the dog by the back of his neck, and it's done, it's over with. I'll go in real quick, and I'll, no, loud no from me and my negative marker, and it's done, it's over with. And then I'll redirect to try to get the dog to go after what I do want it to go after, okay? But that boundary and understanding how to treat a dog in the right way is real important, okay? So that's how I handle my things as puppies. There is really no exact way, because every situation is different. Your relationship with your dog is different, but it's very important that you carry yourself in a very calm, assertive way, as Mr. Cesar Millan would say, okay? He's talking about doing things in a very calm and done and assertive. You're done and it's over with, okay? It's very important. Good. Nope. Let go. Come on. No. Now he's got the leash. Good. Now I'm going to redirect, right? Nope. I don't want him chewing on the leash, so I'm going to try to get him to stop. Good. And he's going to keep coming back. He's a puppy. So then I'll take it and I'll redirect it towards what I do want him to chew on, right? No. Good, good, yes, oh, good boy, good, all right, good boy, good. And then redirect to what I want him to chew on, okay? So that's generally the type of rule you want to have. And then you have to understand that the dog is going to be testing you and pushing on you, and if it's not a good enough correction, he's going to come back, and you need to bring your correction level up to a level that he does respect. But it's very important to have your corrections be matter of fact, done and over with, and then redirect the behavior that you do want it to do. And you need to do this stuff when they're young, because if you don't, the dog will keep taking advantage of you and keep pushing himself because he knows you're a pushover, right? So it's important. You're going to fall off that thing again. Silly boy. Good. All right, so that's kind of an overview of how I handle corrections and the most important formulas involved with that, which is done and over with and redirect. Good boy, good. And I'm not going to worry about this chewing on the leash that much right now. Come on. Good boy, good. There you go. You ready? Huh? Good boy. Now if I get some interaction with the dog. Good boy, good. Ush, 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 ush. Yes, good boy. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you much.